Welcome to This is Oregon, a podcast where we take you inside research happening at the University of Oregon and show you how it applies to your daily life. My name is Jesse Summers, and I'll be your host for this episode, which is part of a special mini-series where we're talking with current students and alumni who work behind the scenes of Oregon athletics. Our guest for this episode is Sam Berman, a double duck and 2024 graduate of the UO's MBA Sports Business program. Welcome, Sam. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, thank you, Jesse, and thank you, University of Oregon. I'm super excited to be talking with you today. My name is Sam Berman, born and raised in Portland, Oregon, so I'm a diehard Duck fan. Grew up going to Duck games at Autzen Stadium when I was 16 years old, so sophomore year of high school. I found out I was moving to Shanghai, China for my parents' jobs with Nike. Big shock, but, super amazing experience that I got to be a part of and got to go and, learn a different culture, live somewhere other than the US where I had lived my entire life. And I think that experience really shaped me into the person I am today. I really got to see the world from a different lens. I got to travel globally. I got to play rugby, softball, really immersed myself in the culture. And then I always knew once I had graduated that I wanted to come back and come to the University of Oregon. So it was a no-brainer for me. When I found out I got accepted, I played Coming Home by Matt Kearney, blasted that, super exciting. But that's really where I got started, and the rest was history.
And so when you came to Oregon, did you initially think I want to go into sports business? That's what I want to do. What kind of led you to that?
I actually had no idea what I wanted to do. I went in, I was like, I wanted to be a sideline reporter. For the longest time, I wanted to be Erin Andrews or Samantha Ponder of ESPN. I grew up an avid Trailblazers fan, Portland Trailblazer fan with my dad. So I would mute the TV, and get out my Wii microphone and mimic Mike Barrett and Mike Rice, the opening of the Trailblazers, and do the opening introductions. So I originally kind of thought I wanted to go down that path. Then growing up in a Nike family, I was like, okay, why I could go work at Nike headquarters here in Beaverton. So I wanted to do that for a little bit, then wanted to become a sport agent. Again, moral is I really didn't know what I wanted to do, but I knew it wanted to be something in sports.
And so when you had the opportunity to be a student manager for a team, what was that like? And what was the experience and maybe some of your favorite moments from that?
For me, first off, growing up, I was a competitive swimmer for 10 years. So I've always been on a team. I've loved being on a team, relationship building, team camaraderie. That's been super important to me. So when I came to college, I always wanted to do that. So then to be a part of the women's beach volleyball team, which is where I first started, and building those relationships, getting my foot in the door, meeting people in athletics, getting to know the coaches and their families, but just also the overall sport was super important to me and something that, I learned a lot about. I learned about time management, hard work, dedication, communication, all the important life lessons.
And so I know in addition to doing that role during your time at Oregon, you also worked for Women in Flight. Can you tell us a little bit about what Women in Flight is?
Yeah, so I'm going to kind of start a little bit how I got to know Women in Flight. So after I became a beach volleyball manager, worked really hard. I got to know the head coach, who was also the head coach of indoor at the time. And I was like, I want to be involved in indoor. How do I get my foot in the door? Are there any opportunities? And he was like, look, love to have you a part of the program as long as you learn this Italian-based coding mechanism program. I'm 19 years old and I'm like, all right, sure, I'll do it. Anything to be a part of this team. Little did I know it's a full-time job around the country as the technical coordinator. So every time someone touches the ball, I'm coding it into a computer. So I had to make my own codes, completely learn this Italian-based coding program from scratch. And how I learned that was actually through Women in Flight. So funny enough, Oregon Volleyball, the summer after my freshman year, so 2019, went on a funded 2-week-long European travel trip. So we went to Prague, Vienna, and all over Italy. And that was actually where Data Volley, this coding program, was founded. And thanks to Women in Flight, I was able to go on this trip and actually meet some of the founders of Data Volley and innovators. Really got to pick their brains and get to know the program from their eyes. And then from that, I was then able to transfer it and bring it back with me to the US, which is really what jump-started my career. So I really got to know Women in Flight through that. Fast forward then to when I was in grad school working with Oregon Volleyball through my grad program, which is Warsaw Sports Business. There is a Woman in Flight internship opportunity. For me, it was super important to also not only be involved with the women's volleyball team, but also really learn about fundraising, be on the event side, and work with all different female student athletes. And so I wanted to be a part of Women in Flight, which is something that really gave to me through Data Volley. And through that internship, I got to work with all of our female sports programs, athletic administration, event planning, kind of you name it. And so I think the combination of Women in Flight and volleyball, really molded together to create a really, beautiful experience. But it's really thank you to Women in Flight and volleyball for jump starting that career. So I know that was a long-winded answer, but kind of tells you how it came to be.
Oh no, that was a great answer. And I mean, your experience covers so much. I'm wondering, are there a couple moments or a couple of experiences that stand out to you when you look back of like, oh, those are the moments that kind of really made the experience for me?
Definitely the Europe trip. I think seeing the world, like living overseas from a different viewpoint. We got to, play against teams from Italy and all the different places we went to, Slovenia, Vienna, and seeing how sports brings people together is just so beautiful. And that was through Women in Flight and volleyball. Really looking at the Women in Flight side, though, it was the Women in Flight football game. So 2023, me and Alexis Cross-Smith and Cammie Wilson, we planned this event from start to finish. And it started with a tailgate with all of our major donors at Autzen Stadium. The weather was horrendous. I mean, I got to Autzen that morning. I was like, no one is going to show up. Like it was sideways rain, wind, but we had this beautiful tailgate set up that we had planned. We had every female head coach and female student ambassador from each program showed up. The majority of donors that we invited showed up. So seeing that in everyone's support of our female student athletes, but then going to the game and seeing the number of female student athletes that showed up on this rainy, cold November game against Cal. And they lined the entire end zone, from one side to the other, and just seeing the support and the love that they have for Women in Flight and our female student athletes, and then hearing the crowd and watching the student athletes, dance to shout was really like, this is everything that I've worked for and am doing brought together was just a truly incredible experience and just shows the power in sport, especially for women and our female student athletes.
So I'm curious, you've talked a little bit about all of kind of the hands-on experience you've had being behind the scenes of the teams and the programs here at Oregon. But at the same time, you were also in grad school and studying as part of the Warsaw program. Can you talk a little bit about what that was like and how those experiences overlapped or connected to each other?
I think working two jobs, Women in Flight and being the technical coordinator for Oregon women's volleyball, while also getting my master's it was a shock at first. The demands of all three of them were very high, but also very rewarding at the same time. I've always been someone who's been super driven and motivated by my work and the people around me and what I do. So although they were all it was at times it was a lot to manage. The reward was incredible. And I just think I learned how to be a great communicator, the importance of one will also work-life balance, but also finding time to do each of my things while doing the best job that I can. And so I found a lot of that through organization. How can I be organized in grad school so I can produce great work and be a great teammate and classmate and student? How can I do my job working for a top 10 volleyball program and give our team the best chance to win and give our coaching staff the data that they need, to come up with a great game plan. And then with Women in Flight, how do I support our donors, our female student athletes, and administration from a whole? And I think that all starts with also the people around me. I had great classmates, teammates on the women's volleyball team, coaching staff, and then Alexis Cross-Smith and Cammie Wilson really allowed me, to manage everything and be the best that I could be.
Like you've been saying, it's really a team effort, both on the court, but also behind the scenes.
And I think too, like just surrounding yourself with positive energy and people that lift you up and support you along the way. I have my best friend and old roommate, who's still at Oregon working in the athletic department. She cheered me on and really supported me. So it's also then kind of finding, like I said, that work-life balance of, surrounding yourself with people that lift you up and make you and motivate you to be your best as well.
And so you graduated in June 2024 and have gone on now to work at the College Football Playoff. Can you tell us a little bit about what you do there?
Yes. So my job, I am the events and hospitality coordinator at the College Football Playoff. So my job, my boss and we manage 29 to 29 plus VIP hosted events throughout the year, whether that's 6 at the national championship game to then meetings throughout the season, throughout the year when we're not in football season. And so whether that's selection committee meetings that start in November and that go through Selection Sunday, we manage all of those. And then just various meetings throughout the year. And also entertain many of our guests. We handle our entire VIP program at the national championship game. And so we invite up to like 1,500 people and all in kind of different capacities to the game, but we manage from registration to boots on the ground at whichever city we're in. It's incredible, the relationships, people I've met, but then experience I'm getting through my job is amazing. I get to, work with our stadium and game operations team, our team operations team, business team, also work really closely with our alumni and president's offices.
And so that leads me to my next question of how did that experience you had at Oregon give you skills or certain lessons that help prepare you for this role? I think you talked a little bit about like the organization and the work-life balance, but were there other things that your experience at Oregon gave to you that really helped propel you into this role?
I think being at Oregon and working in athletics and then being in the Warsaw Sports Business Program, I'll start with that. The variety of people that you get to meet, whether it's through seminar on Thursday nights and the guest speakers that come in and interacting with them, whether it's going to dinner or interacting with them after class, to then the experiential learning trips, where you're going to New York City, Seattle, and you're meeting with people all over the industry. Having those conversations with people and really getting to learn about all of the different types of jobs that they do and that are out there, but also just learning how to talk to people. I think relationships are a big thing, especially for my job and are super important. So each of my experiences at Oregon, seminar, experiential learning trips, Women in Flight, Oregon Volleyball, I had to build relationships. And that really also helped me craft my story because I was talking to so many different people, and really just allowed me and helped me, carry that over to now where I am.
I want to dive in a little deeper into a part of it. So you mentioned crafting your story, and I think that is something that a lot of maybe students don't think about explicitly, but we maybe unknowingly need to figure that out as we're preparing for graduation and applying for jobs. What is the story you're communicating to potential employers? So can you talk a little bit about like how did you figure out what your story was?
This is actually one of my favorite things to talk about because it's not discussed enough. I would say it really started after the experiential learning trip to New York City. So my second year of my grad program. Again, it was an amazing trip where we got to go to the NBA headquarters, NFL, variety of agencies, YouTube TV, Sunday Ticket. And on those trips, I got to meet a lot of industry leaders and professionals, and get to network with them. And they were like, "What's your story? Where are you from? Tell me about yourself." And it turned into like a 5 minute long elevator pitch, what they say. And afterwards, a lot of the feedback was, your story is great. You need to shrink it down and make it like 30 seconds. I want you to hook me because you're going to lose me after 45 seconds to a minute. So how do we develop that? And from there, after that trip, then I connected with those people. I got their contact information, and set up just meetings with everyone I met. And they really helped me craft my story, which I think was very helpful throughout the job interview process, but even just to now and who I'm becoming.
It's really amazing to see how the Oregon network, you can really get connected to any part of the world, pretty much.
Totally. I remember after I graduated from undergrad, I knew I really wanted to like be more in the event space. I was doing like men's basketball, women's basketball liaison, for men's and women's games. And there I got connected to someone in the athletic department. Again, having graduated early, I had this like weird gap. I was like, okay, I'm going to do volleyball. What else am I going to do? And they were actually able to connect me with someone in Oregon athletics. And I got to intern and put on 6 University of Oregon athletic championship events in 4 months. How that all started, though, was from putting myself out there and talking to people and saying, I'm really enjoying this liaison. I have this weird gap, in between graduation and when I start grad school. I really want to get into the event space. How do I do that? Do you know anyone who I can connect with? And immediately I had a connection in my inbox wanting to connect me to someone and reach out. And so I think it really all starts there is what do you want to do? What are you interested in? And things are going to arise from that.
And so, as you've been talking, you've been very deep into the sports world and everything that's going on. Is there any advice you would give to current students or maybe recent alums who are trying to get into that industry or maybe get deeper into it and get more connected? What advice or maybe insight would you share?
Reach out to people. Don't be afraid to send that first message. I think for me, like after that New York trip, we had seen so much, whether it was from the agency side, the TV side, marketing, kind of you name it. And I really didn't know what I wanted to do from there because I was like, I kind of like this, but my heart is in this place, but I'm also interested in that. And I think from there, it's reaching out to those people, learning what do I want to do? What does your job entail? And kind of creating a list of, ooh, I really like when they said that. I think that's something that I'm interested in. Or you have that conversation with that other person, and you're like, actually, that's not what I want to do. I think as many people as you can talk to and network with, is going to be the most beneficial because it's really where you're going to learn the direction and route you want to go down.
All right. Well, I think it's time to start wrapping up the episode. But thanks again, Sam, for joining us today, and taking the time to talk to us about your experience. I'm really excited to see where you go from here. Any final thoughts you would share with our listeners?
Well, one, always go Ducks. Oregon is always going to have the most special place in my heart. But just, I think the biggest thing is don't be afraid, especially as you're looking to getting ready to graduate and looking to see what's next. It's super exciting, but it's also scary. But enjoy the process and enjoy the experience. It is so rewarding and it's so fun to look back where I was 9 months ago, but also look back on my fellow classmates and to see what everyone is doing and all that we're accomplishing. And I know we were all in different positions and we were all, a little bit scared, but it's truly an amazing experience. And the University of Oregon is truly such a special and amazing place. And whether it's in the classroom, athletics, being a student, take advantage of the opportunities because what Oregon has to offer is one of a kind and it's truly a remarkable and amazing institution and university and athletic department.
I couldn't agree more. And all that is great advice. So I will +1 to all those things. All right. Well, thanks, Sam, again for joining us today. If you're interested in learning more about any of the programs that have been mentioned in this episode, check out the links in the episode description. And don't forget to follow This is Oregon for more stories from the University of Oregon. And we'll see you next time. This is Oregon is produced by the Division of University Communications. For more of the latest University of Oregon research and news, visit news.uoregon.edu or find us on your favorite social media platform by using the handle @uoregon. Thanks for listening, and go Ducks!